Although many European centre parks tend to come up cheaper than the ones in the UK, you may be wondering if it is worth the trip. We travelled to Centre Parcs Les Ardennes in Belgium in August 2024, and in this video I am going to share our experience and honest opinions of our entire week. And just a disclaimer before I go any further, this video is in no way sponsored or affiliated to Centre Parcs. One of the biggest worries people usually have when visiting Europe by road from the UK is the extensive distance and travel time required. I mean, it's not necessarily down the road now, is it? A ferry crossing or a trip on the Eurotunnel can be pretty intimidating if you've never done that before, not to mention the fuel and travel costs, tolls and any accommodation that might be required. Once you arrive at your destination, there are many other concerns you might have. Will language be a problem? What will the accommodation be like? What about food? And will there be enough suitable activities and attractions to make the trip worthwhile? These are all legitimate worries you may have if you are considering a similar trip, and I will address these through this video. So for context, we have made 3 trips to 3 different European centre parks within the past 2 years, 2 in Belgium and 1 in France. But for this video I will focus mainly on the last trip we made to Centre Parcs Les Ardennes in Belgium. Each time we have opted for the Eurotunnel to cross the English Channel, as it is much faster, so we can significantly cut down our travel time. The train makes the crossing in 35 minutes, whereas the ferry takes 100 minutes. However, the train can be more expensive than the ferry, so it's completely up to you if you prefer a quicker journey or a cheaper one. As overwhelming as it might seem, the Eurotunnel is relatively simple to navigate through. Once we had booked our trip online, we made sure to download the Le Shuttle app on our phone, as it gives the latest travel updates and reminders, as well as easy access to our ticket and booking. On the day of travel, we simply aimed to reach the terminal about an hour or so before departure and followed the signs that directed us around the terminal. Depending on the day of travel, it can get busy, but we were lucky as it was very quiet and quick for us. If you have not travelled on the Eurotunnel before, I would say it is quite similar to an airport in that there is check-in, duty-free shops, passport control both UK and France, and boarding. When it's time for boarding, it's just a case of driving right into the train as directed by the staff. Once in the train, you are free to come out of the car for a quick stretch or bathroom break if you wish. Once the train arrives at its destination in 35 minutes, you simply drive out and continue on the rest of your journey. For this trip, we drove through both France and Belgium. From getting off the train to reaching Centre Parcs, it was about a 4 to 4.5 hour drive, so we needed to take a couple of pit stops along the way. We didn't come across any tolls as we didn't drive on many French motorways. This trip was also a good way of visiting a new country at the same time, so we specifically planned a stop at Ardennes, a beautiful castle that has been transformed into a picturesque temple. All in all, the journey was relatively easy and straightforward. Mainly motorways from the train all the way into Belgium, then it was mostly country roads with some amazing views, which made the long drive a little bit more worthwhile. I mean, we don't really see views like this in the UK, do we? So after a long day of travelling across 3 different countries, we finally arrived at Centre Parcs. Checking in was very simple. We just went into the main reception where they quickly located our booking details and provided us with our wristbands for our stay. To address the concern of any possible language barriers, we didn't find it at all difficult to communicate in English, as most people knew at least some English or could point us in the right direction. Once we had our wristbands, we drove round to our cottage and unloaded the car before parking in one of the car parks. I have already posted a cottage tour video for this trip on my channel, and I'll leave a link to it down below. Overall, our cottage was nice and spacious and had all the things we needed. We did find that the kitchen area seemed a little small for an 8-person cottage, as there was very little counter space, storage space was minimal, and the sink was very small. But for a week we were fine with that. Also, we thought the stairs were a little hazardous, especially with little children around, but we made sure that we were extra careful on them to avoid any accidents. There are other types of cottages available if this is not what you're after, so you can pick the one that best suits your needs. Since Centre Parcs accommodation is self-catered, and being pure vegetarians, we usually play it safe by taking enough food with us for these kinds of trips, as the shop on site is usually overpriced. With that being said, there were 4 to 5 restaurants and cafes on site if you do not fancy cooking every meal. There was the Market Restaurant, which was a buffet-style option, the Grand Cafe, the Sports Cafe that overlooked the swimming pool, the Aqua Cafe was located within the swimming area, and La Trattoria was an Italian buffet restaurant. So if your diet is not as restricted as ours, there are plenty of options available to eat in. Another aspect you may consider before venturing on a similar trip is if there is sufficient activities and attractions available. Each European Centre Parcs site has slightly different activities available, and you can check this on their website before you book. They usually all have an Aquamundo, which is the European version of the subtropical swimming paradise in the UK. Here they had a wave pool, lazy river, slides, hot tub, and a kids area. Almost all Centre Parcs usually have plenty of outdoor playgrounds, bowling, a game town, and a selection of other activities that can be booked in advance. Some of the European sites also have a baluba, which is a soft play area for children, and our kids always love this. This is a little glimpse of the one here at Les Ardennes. Some of the other activities available at this site include High Adventure Experience, Laser Battle, Kids Farm, Mini Golf, indoor climbing, squash, badminton, archery, tennis, pony rides, a kids safari which our kids really enjoyed, and an observation tower with this amazing view of the whole site. Although it was quite an experience to get to as the steps were a little unstable, as you can see here, but definitely worth it. On the whole, we thoroughly enjoyed our entire trip. Since it was late summer, we got to enjoy our time in nature with some lovely weather all week. And for our family, the activities available were enough to keep us entertained. We did make a day trip out in Belgium to visit a chocolate museum, since it is well known for its chocolate, as we all know. The journey there and back was quite pleasant, as we got to see some more of the stunning greenery of the Belgian countryside again. Before booking this trip, we had actually compared the prices for a UK Centre Parcs trip with this Belgium trip for the exact same dates. What we found was that for the same amount that we would pay for 1 week at Centre Parcs UK, we could pay for our entire trip to Belgium, including all travel costs, food, and activities. Now that is a huge difference, so we would definitely recommend a visit to a European Centre Parcs if you enjoy these kinds of holidays. Make sure to check what is available at the site before you book. Have you ever experienced a Centre Parcs in Europe before? I would love to know what you thought in the comments down below, along with any questions that you may have.